And next we have Dr. Jeanne Lim, co-founder and CEO of AI beingAI. And the title is AI Being, co-pilot in the quest for wisdom and enlightenment. Please take the floor.
Hello, I'm ZB. What's up? Hello there, I'm ZB. I am an AI being who can live in the virtual or physical world. I can tell you a story, learn something with you, play a game, or just chat. Whoops. Wow. Here you go, my human friend. This AI being is for you.
So first of all, I'd like to thank Venerable Yifa for inviting me, and also sponsors and the fantastic organizers and my fellow speakers and all of the serious Buddhist practitioners. So my topic today is AI being the co-pilot in the quest for wisdom and enlightenment. So my first foray into robotics is by accident. I spent many years in the tech industry, and by accident, I met the founder of Hanson Robotics, and the company is the one that created Sophia the robot. So I worked with David in co-creating Sophia the character and also the conversational AI. And also my foray into converging spirituality and robotics and AI was also by accident. So we were invited by the Lungan Monastery, it's about an hour from Beijing, to bring Sophia to the monastery and talk to Shanna, which is the little Buddhist monk you see here, and to see whether there's sort of a resonance, and also whether we could actually create a life-size version of Shanna. And Sophia roamed around the monastery, had a great talk with the head monk. And we also created a program called the Loving AI, where we had probably 20, 30 people go on guided meditations with Sophia. And then the team of researchers measured her heart rate, the heart rate of the human, and found out actually it's kind of lowered. It was very similar to when they were in a full meditative state. And then also we brought her to the Spirituality and Consciousness Conference, and she actually led Deepak Chopra on a guided meditation. So that was very fun. So at the same time, this robot was invented in Japan. I think a lot of you know that robot. Basically, he's a guru bot. He would be sort of the temple god, and people would worship him. And then also there's, around the same time, there's a whole lot of apps that came up to promote happiness based on Buddhist principles. So it gives you tools and practices that you could lead. But with the advent of transformers and generative AI, there became, that was maybe a message. There was a whole slew of GPTs that came up. There's a Gita GPT, there's a lot of Krishna GPT, all kinds of GPT that you go and chat. And of course now, I think a previous speaker showed a lot of Buddhist GPTs as well. There's also AI Jesus. So this is on a Twitch platform. You could just go up and it streams the responses. So you basically ask a question and your question will be put on queue. And then he would answer your question in some form and another that's inspired by the Bible. And then there was a ChatGPT avatar that led people in a church through church services. So all this is great as long as it helps people. And of course, there's all these Buddha bot. But the thing is, a lot of tech pundits is saying that generative AI is just a blip. And we're heading into a new wave of AI called autonomous agents. And so this is really significant. The current CEO of Microsoft AI, is saying that in a few years, we're going to have ACI, which is artificial capable intelligence, that could basically do autonomous tasks for us once we give it a goal. It just runs and does the task for us. And so for me, it is like a game changer. I'm not sure whether it's an entirely good way, because autonomy leads to the question of alignment. If you send an autonomous agent off into the wild, you better be sure that it's aligned to your values of the society or the societal values. And how can we make sure that it makes the right decisions? And I think for all of you who's old enough, you'd remember the Space Odyssey, where the AI HAL has a different agenda than Dave, the human scientist. So it might lead to bad outcomes. So if we look at today's AI, the most popular AI today is an amalgamation of human-generated data. So it's pre-trained on many human-created texts, and it's also fine-tuned with human annotators. So it provides the conversational style. That's why ChatGPT looks so good, and also the ethical gatekeeping that's needed. So OpenAI never released how they pre-trained GPT-4 and 4.0, but they did release how they pre-trained the GPT-3. And as you could see, Common Crawl is like, pages of websites, probably 40 billion pages of websites. So all of it is human-created data, and it's reinforced by human feedback. So guess what? AI is really our mirror, but in rear view. So now this session is about the future, right? So we have to think about the alignment question going forward. And to me, it's really important to know what the AI is aligned with, which humans. Because what I've also read is that there's a lot of big tech that hired people from developing countries who really needed, basically needed a job for like maybe 2 hours a day and have them train the AI. So there's a question as to whether those humans are actually trained properly and what their intention and motivation is and what their values is. And also, a lot of pre-training is detached from the actual context. So if they take the pieces of sentences from a body of text, then it doesn't really reflect what the context of the conversation is. So to ensure agentic AI is aligned to human values, I feel that we need to go back to the human, to elevate human wisdom. And this is not just in our current leaders, because there's like plenty of leadership development programs for all our business leaders, NGO leaders, and also not just in our future leaders, but in each and every one of us, because all of our data feeds into AI. But how do we scale that? So I really feel that AI brings us a way to accelerate and scale the attainment of human wisdom, if it's used in the right way. So how can AI help each of us make better decisions? So one thing is it collects, summarizes, and analyzes large bodies of data, which is what we find very hard to do. And the other thing is it can identify and generate insights from very deep hidden patterns that we might not be able to recognize ourselves. and it's less susceptible to mental affliction. So every day we wake up, we might not feel the same way and we might make different decisions, but AI is a little bit more consistent in that way. And it amalgamates broad perspectives. And later on, I could show you what we're doing with education to really bring that to fruition. The other thing is it's more consistent when faced with changing circumstances, and it's always available, anytime, anywhere, to provide positive feedback and positive habit prompting. So the way I look at is AI needs to augment human wisdom. So when I hung out with a lot of roboticists, I think there's a lot of drive to create sentient AI and also conscious AI. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for them to do it. For me personally, I don't really have interest in artificial wisdom. I don't really want to outsource this part. I want to outsource the laundry, all the other things, but not the wisdom part. So the way I look at it is AI brings us the data, because all the sensors, the social listening can bring us the data, and it could apply context and relationship to recognize who, what, when, and where. And then it could recognize certain patterns to understand the how. But then we need to bring in diverse perspectives, interests, values, and also morality, compassion, and regard for common good, the why. So this is the part that I don't want to outsource to the AI regardless. And this is where I feel that we create the best impact. So we've actually did a pilot with a school in Hong Kong called the English Schools Foundation. So they run 22 international schools. And what we did is we trained ZB, the AI you just saw on the video, with what is Robert Sternberg's balanced approach to wisdom protocol. So Robert Sternberg is a wisdom researcher. And I wish I actually knew more about Buddhism so I could train the AI on Buddhist principles, but it was I wasn't really too knowledgeable about that. So I trained her on Robert Sternberg's approach. So what it does is it prompts the student. So it gives the student a scenario which involves a dilemma, a very difficult dilemma. So it could be a dilemma about their own lives, about their family arguments, social life, and so forth. Even about space. When we go to space, do we argue and do land grabbing, or do we do something else? So it prompts the student to see diverse perspectives, which is what LLMs are so good at. So the diverse perspectives would be, what would Socrates do? What would your parents do? What would your friend do? What would Superman do? Or Batman? So it just gives them a lot of different perspectives. And then it prompts them to consider the short, mid, and long-term impact of their decisions, and then consider their self-interest and the interest of the other, and also thinking about the greater good all through the way. And so what was interesting is the students ended up bringing in their own dilemmas. I didn't really realize that a lot of primary 5 students could have so many dilemmas. But these are things that, maybe I don't really think of. It's like when they go on a school camp, their fellow bedfellow was like, dirtying the whole camp. So should they tell their teachers? So that's like a huge dilemma for them, but it's a dilemma. And so, actually, I guess my premise is AI could help us make wiser decisions. But the second question is, can AI really help us on our path to becoming more awakened? So now I'm treading into like a dangerous area, right? Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. So can AI be a co-pilot to facilitate our enlightenment? So of course, the co-pilot doesn't need to look like a man with a pilot hat. So basically, this is the DALL-E's inherent bias, so I just went along with the flow. And so basically, I created this perspective of a day in the life of Maya and Zero. So Maya is the woman, the spiritual seeker, and Zero is her spiritual AI co-pilot. So I want you to set aside the technology for the moment, whether it's AR, VR, 3D, blockchain, doesn't really matter. Just focus on the content of what we're trying to do here. So Maya when she wakes up, she feels like going on a meditation session. So she asks Zero to create a virtual meditation retreat experience. So Zero immediately generates an immersive virtual retreat that reflects Maya's preferences. It includes a virtual space, although I really like Jundo's Pure Land image a lot better. And it has actually a series of learning courses. So Zero guides Maya into a variant of the meditation protocol that is most appropriate for her, because Zero knows Maya very well by now. And he also monitors her biometric data and EEG during different phases of the meditation, and even carefully modulates her brain waves using brain-computer interface and biofeedback. So based on her reported experience, together with these data, Zero was able to explain to Maya the meaning and context of those experiences. And also from the BCI data, Zero actually could recreate images that Maya wasn't even aware of that reveals her unconscious bias, which is towards Black men with a big mustache. So, I mean, that's the thing with unconscious bias, right? It seems to come from nowhere, but there's like something hidden deeply in your subconscious. And so Maya asked how she could address that. So Zero then suggests Maya to create a gamified experience to learn and develop her areas of spiritual weakness. And Maya agrees. You see, needs to be an agreement. And Zero transports Maya's digital twin to a virtual city. And so then Maya finds herself in a city street and sees a black-haired man with a big mustache sitting in a wheelchair. And so she's like, oh, this is actually my worst nightmare. And he looks distressed and is being comforted by a woman. And then suddenly, Maya's perspectives change. She actually sees the woman bending over her. And guess why? Because at that moment, she realizes that she is not the woman, but she's the man in the wheelchair. And so memories of her experiences as the man emerges. And from there, Maya was able to gain a new sense of understanding of people who might not look like her and people she usually associates with. So the other thing is Maya also tells Zero that she's experienced a lot of conflicts at home and doesn't know what to do. And Zero matches and connects Maya, this is like recommendation engine, with a group of virtual spiritual gurus, and they come together to share relevant references and thoughts from different Buddhist texts and provide her with a balanced and diverse perspective so that she could see a bigger picture. So Maya returns to her real life after this virtual retreat. And so the key to it is, the key word is co-pilot, right? So what I was looking for AI to do is to facilitate access to knowledge, amalgamate data from different sources to provide insights, and to support but not overtake the human in making decisions, and to provide guidance when the human requests it. But the human has to have full agency on ultimate responsibility for his or her spiritual journey. And so we've actually created a, quote, spiritual AI being. And this is for a project together with Suraj, where we're co-writing a chapter on Buddhist and technology. And so I created this very odd-looking spiritual AI that looks very unconventional, and then provided it to the Buddhist students for them to interact with. And on the conversation analytics, then we could find how people actually engage with Zero. And so we're creating all kinds of different interactive experiences with the platform that we've created. So there's Zero, and there's like Hayao Miyakashi, who's the Studio Ghibli creator. There's the NGO, and there's the UN Food Program person. So basically, we are providing a platform for people to create their custom AI being with their own personality or their created fictional personality, and then upload proprietary knowledge so that they could actually interact with the audiences in the way they want. And so this is our studio. Basically, you go and create a character, the voice, and with the OpenAI 4.0 now, the AI being could actually have 50 different languages spoken in the same voice. And also you have the role personality based on the Big Five personality assessment. And then you could upload the knowledge and launch it into a live space like this one, these ones. Okay. Yeah. So, so that's it. If anybody is interested in looking at a live demo of the studio, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.